Well, hello there. This is Terry Shreve from LPO1 Capital. I put together this short little webinar, just won't take many minutes at all here, to give you as a client or potential client to give you a great understanding or some understanding of what this program is all about and see if it's a fit. It may or may not be a fit for you, but you won't know until you kind of delve into it, and that's what the intention of this little presentation is all about. So let's just jump right into it. First of all, most of us understand what the need is as a result of the cataclysmic financial crash of 2008 and 9. The credit world has changed forever. There's been an incredible squeeze put on the Feds put onto the lenders out there, and it's got to the point where even people with 700 credit scores can sometimes not get a loan or denied a loan. There's a variety of different reasons this can happen, but if you find yourself in a situation where you can't currently get qualified, but you have the cash flow, you're in position to buy a house, but you can't, then that's what we're here for. Maybe it's a situation where you've had a short sale or a foreclosure or bankruptcy in your recent past, and you're in those mandatory waiting periods, which you just can't avoid with the conventional lenders. Or maybe it's just a low credit score, or maybe you're self-employed and you have to have those 2 years of IRS returns of solid, consistent growth to get qualified. Or if they just won't do it if it's up and down, or maybe it's an IRS lien or a divorce situation, or not long enough on the job. There's a variety of different reasons they'll use to reject people. So that's the first big motivation. The second one, of course, is the fact that many of the areas in the country, particularly in California, Arizona, Florida, certain areas where the comeback has already started big time. And this gives you three different examples. Here's a Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Riverside 10-year price histories of single-family homes. It shows you where the peak was back in 2007, 6, 7, the crash of 2008 or so, and then bottoming out around 2010 or 11, sometimes 12, depends on the area you're in. And then the pretty significant comeback that's happened in the last year or two. And a lot of people are starting to panic, saying, boy, I got to get back into my house now. I don't want to wait until the prices are back up where it was in 2007. So that's another big motivation. So we look at LPO1 as a potential solution. Instead of throwing your money down a black hole, renting in a place you don't want to be in, how about putting your money in a place where you want to be? And finding that place that you eventually want to buy and be able to live in it while you're getting to the point where you can get a conventional loan. So that's what our plan is. It's got 7 different steps here. I'm going to very briefly hit the tops of these. And I think you'll have a pretty good idea what this is all about by the time I get to the end. So let's start then with step 1, an application and approval process, very similar to what a bank would do. We have a standard application you would fill out. We're going to check on background checks of all types and et cetera to make sure we can approve you. We also are going to work get your approval to share this information with an accredited credit repair company. They help us figure out whether we can get you in position to get a conventional loan approved, whether it's doable to do in the next, let's say, 1 or 2 years, and also what the range of affordability would be based on your income source and where you're at financially. So we want to set those parameters up right up front and make sure that it's going to work into your budget. So that becomes the very first step. Next step is once we approve you is to get together with your real estate agent, or if you don't have one, we'll provide one. And locate that desired home, the place that you would that fits in your budget, but you really would like to be in long term. And hopefully you identify that home soon, and then we at LPO1 also have to approve that property, making sure that it's not out in the sticks, or it's not a property that would be hard to move if we did receive it back. We want to get an approval in that regard. And then on as far as the price goes, however, we're going to negotiate that. We're not going to buy over market. We're going to protect your rights and our rights in terms of get it where it is. So that goes into step 3. The strategic plan becomes the real estate agent and LPO1 will work together to develop a strategy. We'll do the comps. We'll do all the looking around and decide whether the offer they're putting out there, or the list, if you will, whether it's reasonable or not. And we're not going to buy something again that's over market. Based on the cost projection we come up with, we'll put together a purchase option contract and a lease agreement contract. These are 2 separate entities, legal documents that we'll put together and then give to you to review and hopefully at some point be able to approve. We also would want to get a mortgage broker that maybe you've used one in the past, or if you haven't, we can recommend some that we can get this in front of and get our plan in front of, because we want them to be able to sign off and say, yeah, that makes sense. We get to this point A to point B, and we get out there 6 or 12 or 24 months that we can get you qualified. So we want to make sure it's within the parameters of whatever we decide on the lease term, whether it's a 1 year or 2 years or 3 years or whatever. So that becomes critical in this process. So the step 4 then becomes putting these agreements together, and in the purchase option agreement, you're going to have what we call the purchase option fee, which is a non-refundable fee you're going to pay us to buy this house for you and lease it back to you. And typically it's going to be 6% of the acquisition price. Now that we have some leeway on that, but you're going to find that 6% is the very best way to do it. And we also then working out an agreement on the monthly back-end conversion price. It's not going to be exactly what we pay for it. Typically it's going to be about 4% per year increase on the back side. So again, the sooner you do it, the better, the cheaper it's going to be for you. We also then are going to lay down the lease terms. We've done so many of these now. We have an outside sourcing for investor sourcing, and the cost of our money becomes the basis of our lease payment. It's not something we just make up, or we don't make money on this. What we do is we use that as a basis. We add the taxes, insurance, HOA, homeowners insurance, or the home warranty type package, and that becomes your lease payment. And typically, as I mentioned, it's about 12 to 24 months is our typical program. So then step 5 is that once we negotiate a price, we've come to an agreement with the seller, then we need to have you sign the lease agreements, both the option agreement and the lease agreement. We then make our offer. We put our earnest money down, and at that point, once we have our earnest money down, we need to get the option fee paid right up front at that point to get the skin in the game, if you will. We then will have typically like a 2-week inspection period to have both a home inspection and an appraisal done on these properties, make sure we're getting what we're paying for. And typically you as the client would pay for these 2 things as part of the closing. So the next step then is that once we go to the closing of that house, you will pay probably that same day the first month rent, and then a second month, which will be a refundable deposit, which will be credited back to you whenever you play out your option. Then LPO closes the purchase. We get the keys and we hand it over to you, and you move in your new house. The final step then is somewhere during the period of that lease, once your mortgage broker and working through if it's credit repair or whatever it might be, your situation, once the mortgage broker says, hey, you can qualify now, we can do it, we can make the conversion, You can then notify us, and you're going to exercise your option. We will then terminate your lease to coincide with when the option is going to be taken care of or converted, meaning the second closing. And there'll be no additional charges or any hidden fees there. You're going to get credited back your security deposit, and away you go. And also that conversion, that second closing, it will not include any additional real estate charges, etc. That's already been paid up front on the first go around. You'll actually have points, obviously, on from your lender on obtaining your loan, but there'll be minimal amount of closing costs required in that kind of situation. So anyway, that's kind of the program. It's pretty straightforward. There's nothing real secretive or magical about it. Maybe to give you a better idea, though, let me just use an example of how that 6%, that option fee, that's non-refundable option fee, how can it be? You might say that's a lot of money. How can I? Is there anything we can do about that? Well, let me explain to you that if you're in a market where, if you're listening to this, you probably are, because our marketing efforts are directed in areas where there's double-digit or close to double-digit inflationary price increases in those areas on single-family homes. And if it's in the 5, 10, 15% range, I'm going to show you very quickly through a little model here how it really pays for itself, this program. And so I'm going to take a $250,000 model, including the closing costs, and say, let's work off of that. And let's just say it's in an area that's maybe around 11% increase per year. And if you're in Arizona, California, Florida, you're either right at that or a little above it or a little below that. So we start by then, let's just put that $250,000 on a graph here. This would be the acquisition price. And then if we put that 11% in, you'll see that the 11% after the first year is going to take that $250,000 up to $277,000. After 2 years, it's going to go to $208,000. Assuming that continues. And it's people's opinion on whether that's going to continue or not, but that's really what it would come out to be. So you've got a lot of equity that's being built in there, and I'm going to show you how you actually capture that equity. So let's just say here, remember I mentioned that 4% back-end price. So after 1 year, in this case, you'd be looking at a $260,000 conversion price that you would pay for that house. And you see the market's at 277. So you've captured some equity already in that. Same thing with the second year. Now it's 208, and you're going to buy it at another 4% higher at 270, but you've captured a significant chunk of equity as a direct result of having that option and exercising that option. It's obviously in LPO1's name. However, since you own the option, you actually have the ability to capture that equity that's being gained through exercising that option. So then in the last step here, this is kind of showing you that there's a $37,000 differential there after 2 years. And if you now take your option fee on that $250,000 house, that 6% was $15,000. So let's just subtract that off of that equity gain that you've already captured. And so you still have a $22,000 gain after 2 years, and so therefore you're far ahead, as opposed to just renting and not having anything to show for it. The reason on that little orange line, I had the little teeth there from 6 months to the 24th month, is that, again, I'm trying to reemphasize that it doesn't matter when you do it. In fact, this is why I said earlier that the sooner you do it, the cheaper it's going to be, and that's exactly why. You can see that anywhere along that line at your option contract spells out exactly for us what your price is going to be. You will pay that price at that time, and again, if the inflation has taken that market price higher, you're going to be capturing that equity. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Now I'm just going to give you to finish up here, a couple of quick examples. Here's a case study that we did close on just a couple of months ago here in Phoenix area. This was a lady that had a tax problem, and she had to resolve the tax problem with the IRS and had a payment plan, etc. And had a 700 plus credit score, was doing very well, had a great income source, but she could not get a conventional loan as a result of that tax problem. And so she had horses. She's a horse lady. She wanted a property that had the stables already in place, and that's what we found here, or she found, and we approved. It was over a 1 acre with 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath, and again, in this case, it was about $395,000. It was the asking price on this house and this property. And because we did our due diligence and had the appraisal done, the appraisal came in at that 362 level, and that's where the seller had to back off to if he wanted to sell it to us. And he did, and she paid her $21,000, which is the 6%. And I just wanted to show you there. Then her IRS problem is going to be resolved in the next 2 to 3 years, and she's not sure where. So basically, we have these are the 4% numbers, which is the 492 after 24 months and 408 after 36 months. So somewhere along that line, she's going to make the conversion, and she was very, very happy about it. Here's another example of one that was done last year that's coming up on. It was a 12-year program, so this next coming month, this lady is going to be making the conversion. She went through a divorce situation, went back into the workforce, did not have enough longevity at her job. She had 4 kids, wanted to get them into school before, or into a house before they started school, etc. And we were able to bridge that gap for her and put her into this nice 3 bedroom, 3 bath house. Paid again $232 for it. She paid the $15,000 option fee, and she will have a set number of $243 on the back end, which is again here in just less than a month. And her monthly payment was $19.33 a month, and she was very satisfied with that, and it worked out extremely well. So again, we've identified the need, and it's very real. We think it's LPO1 represents a possible solution for a lot of people, not for everybody, but if you're in a position where you have a good income source coming in, and you're just in a kind of run up against that wall trying to get a loan, but we can get it resolved in the next 6 or 12 or 24 months or whatever it might be, then this could be for you. We want to put you and the real estate agent and ourselves all in a win-win-win situation so that we can all walk away happy. So bottom line is that my name is Terry Shreve, and here's my number and also my email address. If you have questions and you want to call me, and I can go into more detail or try to answer any of your questions, or if you want to email me, that's fine as well. I'll be happy to talk about a specific situation you might have and see if it will work. So with that, I'm going to cut it off and look forward to hearing from a lot of you. Have a great day. Thanks.